Did you know that Usopp has the fourth longest nose in the series, right ahead of Kaku and right behind these three? Did you also know Yasopp's a deadbeat? Of course you did, because you read the title. And what a title. But what that title means, we're not going to analyze Usopp's bravery or dream through the lies he tells that come true, or a hypothetical scenario where he dies to prove his bravery. Instead, we're going to analyze Usopp's dream to be a brave warrior through the lens of his father, and we'll touch on why in a bit. For the sake of this video, I'm primarily going to focus on the manga, although other sources we brought up such as the anime, movies, and the SBS. And this video is like half satire, so just enjoy and let's get into it. So, we're going to analyze Usopp's dream through the lens of his dad because his dream isn't to be a brave warrior. It's to be a brave warrior like his dad. Or at least that's what his mom wishes for. And when mama tells you to do something on her deathbed, you do it. Except if it's tap frog. And from what interaction we have had with Yasopp, being as brave as him might not be difficult, and he might be a huge coward. Like, yeah, he is this legendary person who was a part of Shanks' crew, and has a great reputation, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's just how the world interprets him. Propaganda is a powerful thing in the One Piece world. Word of mouth had Luffy going from this to this. Or worse, it had Frankie going from this to this to this. Like, if you're your average citizen, what happened here? Man turned to robot, man turned to ship. I don't know. But, to be fair, let's not forget that even members of Shanks' crew, who should generally be well informed, think Luffy is a monster. And when you hear the tales, of course he seems terrifying. Luffy's taken down countries and challenged world government. And these tales might affect how we interpret Yasopp as well. Yasopp is the best marksman and is able to shoot between the eyes of an ant or shoot its antennas off, which would require incredibly small bullets and seems unusually targeted, which means he either hates ants or made them to target Tontatas, which would give a new layer to this whole video, especially if that whole Usopp is a half giant, half Tontata theory is real. So Yasopp's probably a coward, as his own feats in the manga series are he shoots ants, which means he likes to bully little people minding their own business. The second feat is that he shot Barto's ship and blew it up. And wow, that is a pretty powerful attack, but he did it when they were running away, their backs were turned, they got beat up, and weren't expecting an attack. That's such a coward move. Compare this to when Shanks took on a useless kid head on and directly. And Shanks was so chill with the Bartos situation. He was like, this man is a good friend to my successor Luffy, and subsequently, your son Usopp. And this enrages Yasopp, who is like, every action has a price to be paid. And blows up their ship again with their back turned. And this might be the most enraged we have ever seen Yasopp in the series so far, with the whole anger vein. And we're like in chapter 1153 at the time of writing. Now, you could say he's mad because Barto disrespected his captain, but I think it's either because he probably thinks Barto has been better to Usopp than him, and it reminds Yasopp he is a deadbeat, or he just doesn't like his son, who idolizes Yasopp, or at least the idea of him. Not to say that Yasopp isn't powerful in his own right, as he destroyed his ship, and he has really good observation hockey, at least according to the wiki. They cite that when Yasopp was able to tell Captain Kidd was fully healed when Shanks was about to fight him, was a moment of great observation hockey. The text with the whole telescope makes it seem like a general observation to me, but you need to have observation skills to have observation hockey, so we'll accept this premise of his amazing hockey. Now, if this is true, you might be able to think, okay, Yasopp might use this ability to understand someone's well-being or his family's well-being. Okay, maybe he doesn't visit Usopp, but he checks up on him with his hockey, so he's a good dad. But no, I think this man literally trained his observation haki so well just to avoid paying child support. If he has the ability to check up on a person's well-being, he should know his wife is sick and dying, and instead of saying his final goodbyes or something, he avoids her until she dies, which leads me to believe that whatever Yasopp's bounty is just how much he owes in child support. Why do you think Shanks' bounty is so high? Makino wants her cut, and his crew's probably full of deadbeats. Let me have my silly headcanon. I know he needs to probably see his family to check up on them, but instead he's in love with the sea and adventure, and his wife accepted that. But if she was half Tontada, half giant, we might have a different interpretation of why he left her. Now, if you don't want to join the Yasopp hate train, I think a more reasonable explanation is he is just too socially awkward and scared. He abandoned his family, and it would be pretty horrific to say goodbye to your wife on her deathbed and then just peace out instead of taking your son along. But then if you saw your son, you might have to leave him gold or leave something to make sure he was taken care of. But regardless, that is still such a coward thing to do. He is running away from his responsibility, and we'll touch on this later when we juxtapose him with Usopp. In the real world, abandoning your kid is such a coward move. And Yasopp being terrified of responsibility and fatherhood isn't headcanon. When he thinks he's going to meet Usopp in 1054, he's scared of meeting him. Because, what are you going to say to him? I don't know. Maybe it would have been an awkward meeting. I mean, in the movie, Film Red, he has a nice moment where they sort of meet through the power of observation on him. But, we're not counting that moment. Hey everybody, future me. So while editing this video, I had to go through the Film Red interaction frame by frame because I don't want to have video in my videos because of copyright. And so it tells an interesting narrative. First, when Usopp recognized it was his dad, look how happy he is. He's overjoyed. And he goes, Dad. And this guy just looks so smug. He's like, yeah, of course. Okay, so you might hold some contempt. If you know your universal expressions, right here with his lip raised, that's a sign of contempt. That's just signs that he doesn't like his son. And then at the end here, you see he has this facial expression, and he looks super angry. And this line here, depending how you say it or how the director tells him to say it, it's either good or it's bad. It's like, huh, finally noticed you, little knucklehead. A little playful, or he's more like, finally noticed, you little knucklehead. You know, if he just says it with intensity, you know, it's scary. He might not like his kid. Then you see Usopp's expression here. He's just shocked at hearing this. So, I don't know, maybe it's a derogatory term or something. But he ends on a little bit of a smile. But even in this non-canon material, you see, Yasopp does not seem to like Usopp. Another piece of evidence in all forms of media. So, I thought I'd just put that out there. Remember to always read the whole source and refer back to the context, everyone. Back to the video. But we're not counting moments that aren't directly confirmed canon. But you know what? I'm still bringing up that Yasopp hated being a dad so much. His rival was Daddy. No, Daddy the father. No, the character's name is Daddy the father. Actually, it was Daddy Masterson, so he has Daddy in his name and Son in his name. It's really a nice name. And he is such a good father that his nickname is the Father. So, Daddy Masterson, nickname, Daddy the Father. And Oda intended for this man to be Yasopp's rival. Literally, he would be the deadbeat dad who shoots well versus the loving father who shoots well but would rather see his daughter grow up than chase adventure, because what is better than seeing your child growing up? Shooting poor ants, I guess. And so, even if it isn't canon, the intent of Oda was to make Yasopp's rival a good dad. Probably as a way to say, if you chase adventure, you get good at a skill, but you will be a bad dad, which is pretty accurate, I'd say. Now, another reason Yasopp might be scared of meeting Usopp is he believes the rumors he heard about him. Like, imagine if you just abandoned your kid and then you hear that the kid was actually God and freed the toy slaves. I mean, that might be a good reason to be scared. But wait a minute. Usopp has actually challenged God with the rest of the Straw Hats. No, not Buggy, but that'll be epic when it happens. And no, that is terrifying in itself, especially when he destroys islands. Yet, Usopp did his best with the rest of the crew, and you might not call that brave, but bravery is facing a situation no matter how scared you are. And Usopp is the most negative, depressed person in the series because he made Perona's depression ghost more depressed because he is so negative. Usopp sees all the bad outcomes. He sees how horrific it could be for him, how everything can end in death. But in this horrific imagery, he sees something worse than death. He sees his loved ones suffering, dying. One thing we take for granted is that Usopp has valued protecting others for pretty much the entire series. Usopp had an entire system to protect his humble little village from pirates. And while we may see his attempts as mere parlor tricks or comedies, who knows how many pirates he turned away, and because of that, he let the villagers sleep safely. And he'd even die for them. During Syrup Village, he was beaten with a hammer badly, and instead of looking out for his own safety, he urges the little ones who look up to him to protect Kaya, which protects them and Kaya and everybody else, but puts himself in danger. And if you read Syrup Village again, which I highly recommend, there are multiple times where he earns Zoro's respect because of his cleverness and because of his selflessness to protect what he loved. Because of course Zoro respects that. And of course, in a parallel to his dad, he left the village. But he left it to chase his dream of being a brave warrior, which he thought he hadn't achieved. Now, the next big moment I want to analyze is when Usopp thinks Luffy's going to abandon the Going Merry, he can't accept it because he doesn't want to let go of his past. He wants to go back to Kaya. He wants her part of his life. But now, they're abandoning the Merry and that might not happen. And he can't let that happen. He can't abandon the way back to his loved ones. And so, with all the stupidity in the world, he chooses to go against the man who tore down kingdom, destroyed gods, survived an admiral and Foxy. Yet, that stupidity, to go against all logic, deserves a bit of respect for the absolute bravery it takes to do that. He knew he couldn't beat Luffy, and he knows just how badly this could have ended, and yet he charged into defeat on just the off chance that he could beat Luffy and go back to Kaya. And moments like this are what really make me think he's a braver person than Yasopp. Maybe we'll find out that Yasopp is super heroic, but as of things stand now, Usopp is a braver person than him, and this is all in spite of his negativity. And yes, his greatest acts of courage are probably beating up an emo, goth, clown, ghost girl, I don't know. But probably not something you want to brag about. And he beat a little girl-shaped adult twice, but he did all these for the sake of saving his crew or saving an entire island of people. It's also a clever way for Oda to undermine the severity of the situations Usopp was put in. Perona and Sugar are both hard stops for the Straw Hats without Usopp. Their journey for the One Piece is just done without him. And I'm sure Usopp recognizes in his infinite negativity and just did what comes naturally to him. Tried to protect what was important to him. He did his best to make sure the Straw Hat crew, or an entire island of puppets, or his hometown were safe. The one that Usopp still holds close to his heart, and I'm sure his hometown will be called Sniper Island at the end of the series because of Usopp, maybe Yasopp's influence. But unlike his dad, who was not brave enough to go back there, he will go back there to the tune of "The Pirates Are Coming," sung by the Usopp Pirates, as Aya smiles back because he finally came back. She never doubted him. A liar? Sure. A coward? Never. And for the sake of this fanfiction, Batman is there. Now, I will admit, this is based 90% of speculation that Yasopp never visited the island and the island wasn't under Red Hair Shink's protection, or maybe he couldn't visit it because then it put a target on Usopp's back. There's a million explanations. And you're right. Let me have this because I love the idea of Usopp not becoming brave, but always being brave. And I know he still has his moments of being a coward, but I feel like that's realistic, as when you try to change, it isn't always easy to do so, and he might revert to wanting to run away, especially when you're fighting monsters on the Grand Line. And things really do matter. Usopp has shown that he will declare war on the world government or protect a crewmate from a demon because he is a brave warrior of the sea. Or, other word, Yasopp's a deadbeat and Usopp was always brave. Thanks for watching, everyone. And so, yeah, thank you for watching. I wanted to try a new format where I could go and have my face in the... Oh, there we go. I wanted to try a new format where I had my face in it, and I thought this would be a little bit easier for me to edit so that way I could put out these videos more frequently, because I do love the little, like, image search thing. But if I just do that exclusively, it can take quite a long time. So maybe I'll be able to produce videos a little bit faster. Tell me what you think, and please leave a comment here. Is Yasopp a dead? No, Yasopp's a deadbeat. We'll just leave it at that. Comment any other ideas or your thoughts. I would love to hear them, and thank you for watching this very, very niche video, everybody. And hopefully we'll get out a couple more. So with all that being said, like, comment, subscribe, and thank you for being born, y'all. Peace out.